Hi, and welcome to our second launch event of 2024, and our sixth overall since we began doing this early in 2022. My name is Kaarle Parikka. I'm the head of marketing here at Falcony, and I will be your host for today's event. Today, we have a bunch of great news and updates to share once again. First, we will introduce a new product in our Falcony family called the Falcony ESG, an acronym of environment, social, and governance. Second, we will release how we have improved the open links functionality in Falcony. And finally, we will discuss other feature updates and what we have in plans for future releases. As always, we are here to get you involved, so obviously there's a live chat available for the whole duration of the event. Links, further information, and the post-event recording of this event will be shared with you afterwards. But without further ado, welcome Konsta and Arttu. How are you guys doing?
Very good, thank you for asking.
Same here. How about you, Kaarle?
Good as always. Let's hit the pedal then. Last April, we teased that we are looking into the ESG topic and the requirements EU sets for companies through CSRD and ESRS, that stand for Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. Where do we stand today regarding these?
Let's go there in a minute. However, let's connect this to the bigger picture first. Although these standards, directives you mentioned, they obviously relate to compliance. But it's not just reaching that compliance, it's also how you reach the compliance and how it transforms your company along the way.
So in other words, you're talking about involvement.
You guessed it right. It's what employees expect today. Everything has to work anywhere, anytime with just a few clicks. And of course, as you can imagine, this shift is impacting ESG compliance too.
And could you elaborate a bit more on this?
Sure. A lot of the ESG compliance or ESG work is about collecting certain data points from different systems, from different people, from different places. A lot of work. And this task, I would say, is nearly impossible with typical ways. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's simply, your employees simply know that there are better ways to do it.
So in other words, more involving ways.
Exactly, and that's the key. So Falcony ESG is where high involvement meets the enterprise-grade requirements of ESG reporting systems.
And there it is, Falcony ESG, right, Konsta?
Yes, Falcony ESG is what we are launching today, and it's going to include some game-changing features.
Sounds really good. So, here we have it in a nutshell. Let's go then in a bit more detail. Could you, Arttu, then continue by going through the main points of the solution?
Yeah, definitely. So it might be a bit small, but the four main modules of the solution consist of one, double materiality assessment or analysis, whichever word you want to use. Two, ESRS disclosures, so the standard-related disclosures and documentation. Three, emission reporting and carbon accounting, including ready-made emission calculators. And four, ESG metrics. And we actually have a fifth module already out, but let's keep it a small secret until the end of the presentation.
We'll do that. Thanks for the intro, Arttu.
No worries.
Let's then dive in, starting with the double materiality. Konsta.
Let's do it. So double materiality analysis is the management level work that the standard requires to do. With the audit template that we have created in Falcony, you can assess the impacts, the risks and opportunities, while Falcony will take care of the materiality calculations automatically.
Thanks, Konsta. Arttu, anything you want to add there?
Yes, I do. There's also, let's say, a sub-module of double materiality assessment. We've also added stakeholder surveys that companies can use to involve their stakeholders for materiality assessment work. What they can do with this is collect the information that their stakeholders view and compare that on their own view of the material topics.
And what happens if a company already has a double materiality analysis done?
Yeah, a lot of the bigger enterprises most likely already have it. But the thing is that it needs to be updated. Thus, we can help to migrate the existing double materiality assessment into Falcony, making the updating work easier and help with the reporting side as well.
Yeah, and if I may continue, that's a good point to continue with another part of this solution, dashboards mainly. So we build a ready-made dashboard for this double materiality that helps to visualize the work in Microsoft Power BI, the most common and most popular BI tool in the market. What you can do with this is compare different years easily to each other and drill down to subtopic or even sub-subtopic level in the dashboard.
So in a way, the first module actually consists of two.
Yeah, so the management level assessment and the stakeholder surveys.
Exactly. Then next up on the list, we have the disclosures of the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, so the ESRS acronym. What does this one include, Konsta?
Yeah, those of you who are not familiar with the standards, they consist of more than 1,000 data points, disclosures and application requirements. To make the annual documentation process easier, we split the standards into subtopic specific checklists. If
I heard you right, you mentioned 1,000 data points, which to me sounds quite a bit of work.
It is, but we can help a lot with Falcony scheduling functionality. What this means in practice is that you can schedule and assign different checklists to relevant people who are responsible for each topic. Falcony then automatically sends reminders and helps to give an overview of where each disclosure is going.
And after the documentation is done, can our customers then get all the disclosures and documentation in a machine-readable format?
Of course. They're available both in our Analytics database, but also in table format.
Excellent. And on top of that, do we have a dashboard for this module as well?
There is. Since this whole work can be seen as a big project, we made it easy to see and report on the progress of the required disclosures in an easy-to-use Power BI dashboard.
Thank you, Konsta. Then to the third module, which is carbon accounting and emission reporting. Back to you, Arttu.
Thanks. When it comes to ESG, emission reporting is what is often taught when we talk about the E, so environmental aspect of it. But there's of course much more than that. Falcony-wise, we now turn to observation forms, observation templates instead of audit templates.
Mm-hmm.
What we have is emission factors for all the common Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. We have several Scope 3 calculators, and we've also included ready-made templates for Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions that you can input on a free-based form if you happen to make the calculations elsewhere instead of Falcony.
So in other words, does this basically mean that all emissions can be put through Falcony regardless of the source, scope, type or category?
Exactly. And what's more, it's completely audit ready for external auditors. So all the changes, all the numbers, all the emission factors, they are readily available and transparent in the logs.
And as you mentioned, external auditors, a company can simply share access rights straight from Falcony for them to view the data.
Exactly.
Excellent. Continuing with the emission factors, where do those come from, assuming not from thin air? Konsta.
Yeah, we have collected most up-to-date emission factors mainly from GHG protocol, but there are also many other sources as well, such as EcoInvent, Exiobase, US Environmental Protection Agency, to name a few. For each emission, we actually show the year and source of the emission factor so that anyone can easily double-check them.
And if I may add, there's always a possibility to override the emission factors that we have preset from the database with your own emission factors. What Falcony does is then it'll simply ask you to include a description of what source you used and other information like a year and so on.
Makes sense since there are new emission factors coming in every day.
Hundreds of them every day.
True that. Lots of companies nowadays, even small and medium enterprises, talk about net zero coal. Have we thought about including emission reduction, removal and other means of compensation in Falcony to calculate net emissions too?
We have, it's already there. So we've created separate templates for carbon credits, emission offsets, like other types of compensation, and even if you happen to do investments or projects that intend to reduce emissions in the future, all of those can be put through Falcony.
And as always, I bet there is something for us to show in a visual format.
That's right. For emission data, we have a separate KPI view for the management team that includes targets and even tracker for net zero goal. There is also another view that includes visual charts and different sources, scopes of emissions along with emission intensity and net emissions.
And as a recap, can you tell us a bit more about emission intensity?
Yeah, to put it very simply, it's emissions divided by revenue.
And when you mention revenue, where can we get that data from?
Yeah, with this question we can jump to the next slide. When it comes to revenue data, we have created a template that can be used to input the revenue numbers into Falcony either manually or via CSV files with the help of our customer success team or through our API.
So API means that it can be fully automated.
That's right. And the same applies for all other ESG-based metrics too. You might want to have workforce data such as employee count, diversity, or work hours from your HR system. You may also want to have, let's say, water, energy, or electricity consumption from another system.
That helps a lot for sure. I guess, though, not all of the data points can be automated, so that's why the manual input option and service from us come to aid.
True that.
All right, thanks Konsta. Arttu, could you then go through how Falcony ESG links to the rest of our Falcony family?
Of course. Those are our customers who already have some other Falcony product in use. There are lots of requirements in the directive and standards that our solution can help with. Just to name a few, Falcony Risk already includes ready-made risk assessment template for climate risks, governance, social, ethical, and environmental risks. Then again, Falcony Ideas, you can use that for example, ESG ideas and initiatives, and even, for example, energy saving suggestions. Falcony Audit has already had for a long time a good templates for sustainability, environmental, code of conduct audits. And last but not least, Falcony Whistleblowing. You can easily expand that to include other channels that the directive requires, such as channel for concern, grievance reporting, complaint, discrimination reporting, and so on.
Pretty good, I'd say. Anything else?
Well, not for this specifically, but let's consider a point in time that the company decides they've now done good enough or even great enough work with their ESG project. What do you think they can do to make all this visible and show it to their stakeholders?
I have it written here, and it's the secret 5th module.
Good guess. So we've created a good-looking, brandable with your own brand and mobile responsive view that one can customize to include all the relevant ESG information. Reports, links to dashboards, if you happen to have some certificates, guides, documents, pretty much everything. It's a page that's open in the web, and you can easily link that to your own website. The problem with website, which you could use of course for this, is that it's often so difficult to update. So this makes it easier for the ESG team.
And as this has been a big hit among our tenant portal customers where the stakeholders are the tenants, it only makes sense to leverage this and offer it to our whole client base.
Fully agree.
Okie dokie. What about integrations, Konsta?
Yes, so all the same integrations as with other Falcony products also work with Falcony ESG. And it's good to remind though that with the ESG, the automated data input to Falcony is quite an important part of the solution.
It sure is. But it doesn't end there, does it, Arttu?
No, it doesn't. Overall, we already have a lot of interesting new stuff planned for the future. We'll be including thousands of emission factors, new calculators for the emissions in the near term. There are several new dashboards in the pipeline that we are building. Some of them relate to consumption data, such as water, electricity, heating, and also for the S&G part of the ESG, so social and governance related data points. Besides these, there's other templates we're creating, and we already have started to look into other ESG frameworks, such as GRI, TCFD, and SECR. There's a lot of this.
And FBI.
CIA.
Too many new acronyms there maybe for me, but I'll try to follow you. From my end, I could also mention a couple of things, if I may.
Be our guest.
First, I want to mention that despite a lot of work that the ESG regulations require, our solution isn't not just about the software itself. As always, we truly want to make sure that you get the most out of it, and that's why we also include ongoing services such as data migrations, review meetings, and trainings to the offering.
Sounds really good.
And on top of that, to continue with the ESG theme, we also have an ESG-related seminar coming soon. This is maybe more for our Finnish client base, since the seminar is held and starts from Helsinki. But of course, from abroad as well, you're more than welcome to join. On Friday, the 11th of October, we'll be heading to the Baltic Sea for a full-day seminar, which will consist of speeches, discussions, product demos, and obviously networking around the ESG topic. There's already 30 spots filled and room for about 10 more, so if you're interested, please show your interest right now. That the link to the event will be shared in the chat.
So all aboard.
Exactly that. Hey, that's a good way to conclude the first section of today's event. If you're interested to hear more about our ESG solution, feel free to book a meeting with us. Besides the event that I just mentioned, we'll also be sharing the meeting booking link in the chat now, or you can use our website contact form, or of course contact us personally through your main point of contact here at Falcony. Thank you, Arttu. Thank you, Konsta. We'll now do a small switch up with the seats. Let's welcome our customer success manager Kasper to the hot seat, and we'll see Arttu again later on. Welcome, Kasper. How are you doing?
Thank you, Kaarle, and thanks for asking. All is good. Summer is still going strong, and the customer success team is heating up, so beware.
Couldn't expect anything less from you. Okay, moving to the next item on our agenda today, the revamped open links. Konsta, could you start with an introduction by reminding all of us what the open links are about?
Sure. So the open links are a way to involve people to report observations even if they don't have user credentials in Falcony. We've had them for a very long time, and for all open links it's been possible to limit which categories and places the open links allow reporting to.
And why does it make sense to have open links in general, Kasper?
So 3 reasons really. First of all, some people simply don't have credentials to use Falcony. And second, even though many people could have their own credentials, they report observations so infrequently that it just doesn't make sense for them to have personal credentials.
And the third reason?
The third reason is that with open links, it's easy to limit the amount of templates or places or a combination of the two. And with this limitation, you can easily make a printout or print the link as a QR code and put that printout somewhere where those observations are expected to happen.
So the common thread with all of these is that more often than not, they all relate to external users.
Exactly, yeah. So contractors, clients, suppliers, tenants, visitors, whoever really.
Thanks, Kasper. Then back to you, Konsta. Could you explain how the open links work currently and what is going to change?
Yeah, so currently the open links are a super simple way to report anything anywhere, but the problem is that it has been only one directional. There hasn't been an option for the reporter to stay in the loop of what happens to the reported observation.
But that is changing now, right?
Yes, from now on, when the reporter decides to leave their email at the end of the observation form, they are able to stay in the loop of what has been done about it and even provide further information in the observation comments.
Sounds really good. So in practice, how does the reporting experience feel? Kasper.
So when the reporter leaves their email address at the end of the form and presses send, there will be a pop-up modal to fill in a 4-numbered code. This code will be sent to the email address that the reporter gave, and copying that code allows the reporter to complete this process.
And what happens next? How can the reporter follow what they just reported?
So after that, if the user doesn't have any Falcony credentials from before, they will be asked to complete the creation of those credentials by setting a password and logging in. What they can see in Falcony is simply just the observation that they just sent, or if they have created multiple observations, they will be able to see all of those.
And could you remind us why this is so meaningful?
This all links back to involvement. When the reporter sees what happens to their observation, they will become encouraged to share even more observations. So there's a feedback loop, and that increases involvement.
I fully agree. Let's move on to what this means for the user management side. Konsta.
Yes, so all the people who report through these open links and decide to leave their email address will be listed as external members in the user listing. What is possible though is that if some external members reports often enough, an admin can decide to change that user's role from an external one to one of the internal roles.
Makes sense. Then some practical examples on how to use the revamped open links. Kasper, will you help us with those?
Yeah, so on a high level, this can of course impact pretty much all the reporting use cases. But we've decided to give 4 examples here where it truly makes a difference. So service requests, feedback, work permits, and surveys.
Let's then dig in. Konsta, what's changed with service requests?
Yeah, for service requests, Falcony could now be a full-on solution to cover the entire process, as anyone can truly report them and know what happens to their request or work order afterwards. However, we have also thought about this further by providing off-the-shelf integrations to major maintenance management systems, as some companies need to store their entire maintenance history and logs in one place.
So does this mean that Falcony kind of works as a one-stop solution to involve everyone for reporting, but maintenance workers can keep using the solution they are familiar with?
Exactly, and what's best is that with our integrations with, for example, Granlund and Tampuri, these systems also return the service request status back to Falcony.
That's really cool. Kasper, moving on. Next up, feedback channels. Tell us more.
All right, so this is interesting. If you think about it, there are probably more feedback systems on the market than any other software solution.
Can't argue that.
But now that customers, suppliers, or whoever is providing the feedback can see and follow up all their feedback in one place, regardless of which organization they shared it to. This will actually make Falcony more and more of a platform with networking effects.
So the more our customers decide to add Falcony links to their website, intranet, or even physical premises to involve their stakeholders, the more value it creates for our customers.
Yes, couldn't have summarized that better myself.
Thank you, thank you. Next up, permits to work. Konsta.
Yeah, in the realm of safety, a lot of different types of work require by law, by insurance, or by best practice a permission process before the work can be done.
And for example,
Let's say hot work, work at heights, forklift work, confined space work, or ATEX work.
and am I right if I say that we have ready-made templates for all of these?
Yes, and now that we have the open link feedback loop, the contractors requesting the permit will get notified whether they got the permit or if some changes are required.
Excellent. Then the fourth and final example we have here is surveys. Kasper, what's up with these?
So with surveys, we haven't actually had a proper roadmap before, since this is a hyper-competitive market as well. But still, many of our customers have nonetheless used Falcony for surveys for quite some time already. This will now allow all those customers, and everybody else too, to benefit from involving the respondents even further.
Thanks, Kasper. And before we close this section of today's event, how does the rollout plan look like, Konsta?
Yeah, first of all, this feature as it is will be rolled out to all of our customers. For those who want it ASAP, simply reach out to us and we will enable it for your open links. But for the rest of the customers, we won't just automatically do this. Instead, we will first inform all the admins multiple times that this kind of change is coming, so that you can decide if some of the open links need to be excluded from the rollout.
And why would some of the open links need to be excluded?
There can be various reasons. For example, you might not want the open link reporter to see the follow-up process of the observation and hence not allow the reporter to stay in the loop.
And in those cases, our success team and myself can help you to move the follow-up process to another observation template to be linked to that original observation.
That's true. So even those cases can be solved with Falcony.
Exactly. This concludes this section. Next we'll jump to other feature updates and our future roadmap. I'll say thanks to you, Konsta.
Thank you.
And we'll welcome Arttu back to the sofa. One Vesterinen out and one Vesterinen in.
One is enough.
All right. Our good news don't stop here. In this last segment, we will go through the updates and roadmap in 3 stages. First, what we've already released. Second, what is nearly done and coming up next. And third, what we are considering for the future roadmap.
Sounds good.
Good. Kasper, go ahead.
All right, so thanks. During July, we added a new tab in the Falcony menu called Discover More, where admins can now find functionalities, features, other Falcony products and integrations that they are not yet using.
And this is especially useful since Falcony platform has been developing so rapidly that not all admins might not be even familiar with all the new features we have done.
Yes, exactly.
Okie dokie. Then we have 2 new Power BI dashboards. Arttu, first of all, a big question. Is Power BI now the way to move forward when it comes to Falcony data?
That's a good question. Of course, I can promise we will not stop developing Falcony statistics. We will still do improvements there, but we have to admit at the same time that Power BI as a system is miles ahead when it comes to analytical and visualization capabilities. Why we have been so active with creating new dashboards in Power BI is because 1, it's by far the most common BI tool in the market, and 2, most of the management teams and even middle management want nowadays to have all the data and reports in a single place.
True. So with these ready-made dashboards, our customers then don't have to learn new tools to use. Plus, to my understanding, Power BI licenses, they're really affordable as well.
Yeah, they are. So what you'll need is 1 Power BI premium license, which is somewhere around like 9 or 10 euros. All else who are viewing the data can work with the free license. And why we have decided in the first place to create these ready-made Power BI reports is because more often than not, our customers' own resources, their own BI experts, or if they happen to have consultants, they're either limited or at overcapacity, or even both.
True. So with these, our customers can get reports immediately into use to make better informed decisions.
Exactly. So that's the background. Maybe now we need to jump to the actual dashboard here. Here's the first one of the two, safety KPIs. For anyone working in the field of safety, HSEQ or OHS, are probably familiar with term accident frequency. This dashboard will give those KPIs of different types of accident frequencies, so total, lost time accidents, medical treatment accidents, in one place. On top of that, we have included a KPI about days, number of days since last accident took place, very common in, for example, construction sites or manufacturing sites. And all these numbers, we've included a drill down to pretty much any variable that you have there.
True. Looking at the screen, it doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't. On top of that, we've added a little extra. You can also compare the number of accidents to these leading indicators, such as number of safety observations, number of near misses, that in theory should help you to mitigate the injuries or accidents happening in the first place. So learning like upstream events.
True that. 2 points caught my eye there on the right, the adoption rate and the reporting rate. What are
You're
those?
very observant. These are two important involvement metrics we've invented. Adoption rate, the first one, tells what percentage of users have logged in the past 12 months, what percentage. Whereas the reporting rate tells what is the average number of observation per user reported. So in a way, the wider and the deeper the usage, the better involvement.
And these can be also fully customized by our customers, meaning the goals for each of these KPIs.
Yeah, so there's a target level you can set for adoption rate, reporting rate, and each of the KPI. So for example, let's say you start a year, you set a goal that you want to get to accident frequency well below your this year's rate. All of this can be set in the dashboard, and our excellent customer success team can even help to do that in customer review meetings.
Exactly. Then to the other dashboard we've created, this one for tenant portals.
Yeah, this is really great as well. As a background for this, we've always seen tenant portals as one of the best ways to improve the experience of the existing tenants in commercial buildings. However, in the past, we didn't have a proper way to put this into metrics, how it actually improves it. But this dashboard will definitely change that.
And as tenant portals are often created on a building by building basis, does this then give the kind of bigger picture view?
Yeah, it does. So as you mentioned, in the past, it's been possible to analyze on a building by building basis, but the whole point of releasing this kind of a dashboard is the portfolio view. So from now on, the tenant portal admins can view visits, announcements, different types of questions and other activities of all tenant portals that they have in the portfolio over time. They can break down that information by different buildings and again drill deeper based on any variable.
And what kind of plans do we have for this for the future?
Well, we have the tenant satisfaction surveys as an add-on for the portal, so we're planning to include data of those as well in the dashboard. So it helps to see the actual current state of the tenant experience and tenant satisfaction in the same dashboard.
Really good. Okay, then we have a subsection called Coming Up Next, meaning updates we are about to release in the near future. So, in other words, these are updates that we're currently working on. Kasper, would you mind explaining the first one on the list, registry management?
Sure. So some of our customers have already benefited from our data source API integrations, meaning that they brought certain data sets such as products or orders, patients, customers, and so on to Falcony's observation and audit questions.
And that's something that has for sure helped to keep the data structured instead of all fields being open text fields.
Absolutely, and the registries are simply the next level of what data sources used to be. They will make it possible to create one or more registries, import the data via CSV files, or update them manually within Falcony.
Sounds really interesting. And does it mean that there's not necessarily a need for an integration to bring the data to Falcony?
That is correct.
Excellent. And as mentioned in the top right, this is something that we will be releasing in our next launch event, which we will be hosting in early January. More information obviously provided to you about that later on. Okay, could you, Kasper, then give some examples of what kind of registries we are talking about?
Of course. So here is an incomplete list of what we have in mind. So anything from machines, vehicles, properties and spaces to chemicals, projects and emission factors, which we already have in Falcony ESG.
And for all of these, our customers can decide whether they want to import the data automatically via an integration or update them manually.
Exactly. And everything is customizable. So all the columns, names of the registries and so on.
What about, for example, chemicals? I know that that's for sure something that interests a lot of our customers. Will the list of chemicals be automatically imported to Falcony by us and ready for use?
Arttu, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, sure. What can I say now is that we will definitely make all the chemicals that the European Chemicals Agency have in their database readily available in Falcony as well. What that does, it already automates a lot of the work because the database provides all the relevant codes that the chemicals relate to. On top of that, we will definitely provide a ready-made template for chemical risk assessments, inputting chemical amounts through Falcony, and we will also be looking next at how we could help with the safety data sheets and the automation of updating those. That's something we're looking into.
Exactly. So for our customers, stay tuned or contact us if you want to discuss this in more detail already now before the next launch.
Yeah, have to discuss more about it.
All right. Then we will head to the last and final subsection of this launch, meaning the future roadmap. What kind of plans are we considering after the midterm development is more or less done? Kasper.
Yeah, so the first one on the list is audit collaboration improvements. What we are planning is to improve the visibility of other auditors' ongoing audits. After that, a possibility to change the auditor to somebody else. And all in all, this will definitely improve the collaboration among auditors for ongoing audits.
Sounds really good. Then product-wise, in the past 3 launch events, we have successfully launched Falcony IDS, Falcony Risks, and now Falcony ESG. What's the plan in this area in the future, Arttu?
First of all, the reason we look for new use cases comes back to involvement. Like we have discussed many times, the observations or audits, they don't care about organizational silos. They don't care about the functions in a way they belong to. They simply want to get reported, so to say. So by adding new use cases to Falcony family, we extend the potential amount of observation and audits and actions that go through the platform.
True that.
So what you as a customer can expect from us is that we will keep on improving the existing use cases that we already have with new templates, forms, content, instructions, functionalities, features, integrations, and so on. So that's something we promise. But we also promise to look for new use cases, just as before. At the moment, we have 8 new ones shortlisted that we might pick some of them for the upcoming launch events. It might be a bit small, so if I may simply say them out loud, there are internal controls, cybersecurity, data protection, resilience, supplier management, customer experience, vehicle management, and HR ticketing. Some of them, you as a customer might notice that you have already been using Falcony for these areas, but productizing them in a similar manner as risk management, ESG, and ideas in the past launches, it will help to bring them the same level of attention from the development as well.
And as Arttu mentioned about the observations, not caring about the organizational silos, we don't also want to be developing our products in a so to say silo. Hence why, as always, we appreciate your feedback a lot. Keep it coming. Let us know what's your take on what we should bring to the market next.
Keep the feedback coming.
Exactly. Any closing remarks, Arttu?
Well, ESG, open links, all these other features we've been discussing today, all of them are about helping you as a customer to involve your workplace better. This leads to a greater number of observations and ultimately continuous improvements.
So as somebody once said, involve, observe, evolve.
Exactly. There it is.
Okay, let's conclude our launch event today here. Thank you, Arttu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kasper.
Thank you.
And thank you all there on the other side of the lens. The chat will stay open for your question. Please keep them coming now from all of us, not just us here at the studio, but from everybody at Falcony. Thank you, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.